No harassing Ellie, and also no throwing up on anybody. If you're going to throw up on anybody, you got to throw up on me. We sat down this row with JP, walked over to me, just threw up on my lap. It's like, buddy, alrighty. I need these for me. That's why I'm not hearing anything. All right, here we go. Hello and welcome into the Section 109 podcast from Studio Breezy. I'm here with Sir Mix-a-Lot, Bubble Juan, Matthew, and Ellie. And we have real soccer to talk about.
Woohoo! Wow.
And we actually played 2 games this weekend. We were all 3 there. Vibe check before we get into like the nitty-gritty. How are we feeling after the weekend?
Good. I mean, happy to have the 2024 season underway.
Well, the preseason.
Same thing.
I think I would argue with that. Ellie, how are you feeling?
I think that I don't know. I'm looking forward to what we're going to become. Having seen some of like what we're looking at, I'm optimistic.
Same. I can't really say it better. I'm optimistic, but I have no idea what to think on the other hand. But we're going to do some baseless speculation later in this episode. Don't worry. It's going to be fun. You don't come to podcasts for rational, or at least you shouldn't come to this one for rational, normal, well thought out things. You should come to us for baseless speculation along with some other things.
Yeah, you'll get it too.
Matthew, start us off. We're going to start off with some news. Yeah, or are we going to start out with the game?
Let's start off with news. So item number 1 this week, or last week I should say, was the announcement on Wednesday that Richard Dixon was retiring with immediate effect and moving into an assistant coaching role for performance with the men's first team. And that retirement was for unnamed medical issues. I think he mentioned an issue of the heart specifically. And I think it did not maybe necessarily come as a surprise to the team because he had not been in training during preseason. He did not feature in the game that they only put a half of at Knoxville. But still, that is club captain, 93 appearances. That's third in all-time appearances for CFC
after Zeka and Juan.
Yeah, and that's just he was the first player ever signed when the official move to pro occurred for 2020.
Yeah.
And that's, it's obviously a huge deal. This is a guy that, for the last 2 seasons under Rod Underwood, remained team captain and also was, one of the biggest minutes getters in both of those seasons, one of the team's most important players, and figured to feature pretty heavily for this 2024 season in this kind of season of change, moving into a new league with new expectations, and to not have that all of a sudden is a huge, obviously it's a huge bummer, but more importantly, good Mixie,
my buddy. He also is bummed out that Rich is retiring.
Yeah. More importantly though, like more than soccer players, more than a soccer team, like it's also individuals, and there's consideration there for Rich and for his family, for his wife and his daughter, and I imagine that decision was made as a family, and then rather than try to go through with figuring out whatever, like it was the right time.
Yeah.
And timing's not always ideal, or you don't always get to plan these kind of things, but that's reality sometimes.
Ellie, Rich has been a part of the team since you kind of came back from college, started going to every CFC game, getting involved, et cetera, et cetera. How are you feeling?
It's definitely weird. Like I've never gone to a game without Richard being a part of the team, and so like when we did the schedule release, like he came to my school and like he was so nice with all my students and was like so sweet, and like we have students who aren't really talkative and aren't very loud, and like he got those students to talk to him, which is like super impressive. Like, let me tell you, some of those students haven't spoken to me. Like, he's just so personable and kind, and like to see him not come back But also to say that I was so impressed with the club, and I think it speaks so much to the club and like why we support the club, that in his retirement video he was like, I'm being taken care of by the club. They're going to support me. They're going to help me. I'm a coach now. Like CFC already in advance was like, no. Like you're family and we take care of family. And so when you retire, you get a coaching job. We're going to make sure that you're, you don't disappear and just like retire into oblivion. Like, right. You are still just like Juan, right? You retire, your family. We take care of our own.
Yeah, definitely. I do want to put a pin in that because I want to talk about, we haven't been on the podcast yet. I haven't even talked to you privately about the schedule release. So I want to know like how that went and because that was a complete surprise to me. It was so cool. So cool. But back to Rich for a second. He's taking over the position that Juan had last season with the first team.
Yep.
That Juan is not doing this season and was not doing prior to this. So it's not like, just so everybody knows, it's not like, Juan got kicked to the curb. Juan is more involved with the academy and the women's team as assistant coach and is not involved in the men's first team side for this coming season. So he steps into that position that was currently vacant, is my understanding, and he's going to be the full-time performance. And I don't know what else he's doing in addition to that, so just take it for what I've heard. But it's a motorcycle. I thought it was a dog growling. He's going to be full-time coaching on the coaching staff. We saw him at the Blastoff Battle.
Yeah.
And I hope we'll get a chance to memorialize him. And he's not dead, guys. So I'm sorry I sound like I'm saying that way. But like his career ending was such a surprise and such a bummer on an emotional standpoint, but obviously health comes first. I hope we'll get a chance to sit down with him, maybe put some video clips together, talk about some big moments, and really do a proper goodbye. I hope they do some sort of testimonial for him. With it being a problem, heart issue, whatever it is, maybe they can't. Who knows? But I hope they figure out some way to do something honoring him during the season because he deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Zeka got his moment. It was not quite a testimonial, but Zeka got his moment in a season. Juan got his moment, and it would be really cool if, and I think I'm going to say necessary, I think, for Rich to get his moment.
Definitely have to figure something out there.
Absolutely.
So two things. Number one, we talked about Marcus.
Did we?
No, I don't think so. Well, and meaning the internet has done some sleuthing, and we think we know where Marcus is currently.
Oh, well, yeah. So
okay.
So Marcus is on trial currently with Pittsburgh Riverhounds.
Which was like some internet sleuthing that then became public because they said his name on Twitter. The Riverhounds did, right? When they announced the lineup. Yeah,
and the people, including friend of the Matthew portion of the pod, Colton Koreski, is now writing, moved to Pittsburgh in October or something, is now writing for, I think it's called like Pittsburgh River Soccer Now or I don't know, something like that. And they were able to report some preseason happenings, including I think a half dozen players that were on trial. One of which being Marcus, among a couple of others. And so like we don't know what's going on there. We know he played 45 minutes on Saturday, maybe Sunday, something.
That game was 0s at half. So
yeah, and so like we don't know what's going on there. It's preseason. It's trialists. It's always weird. It's weird when we're like kind of in the know. Like you go to a weekend game and there's 2 games for CFC and you see some trialists or whatever. Like it's already weird enough because like we don't know what the situation really is. So even less so, we don't know anything.
Totally.
For Marcus' situation at Pittsburgh, but we obviously wish him the best of luck with whether it's Pittsburgh, whether it's some other stop along the way.
Ellie, would you please talk about the best, that's the best season release video we've ever done of any kind, and I'm giving definitely some credit to you for that. Tell us about like how that came about, whatever you can share, like that's so stinking cool.
Yeah, CFC reached out to me on Twitter and asked if my school, no, granted, I teach at a school in Chattanooga, and I love my school. Like I love my school more than I can ever say.
Are you comfortable sharing what school it is?
I am. I work at St. Jude School.
St. Jude, let them grow up.
Is that the jingle?
I don't know.
Not our jingle, but it's okay.
Okay.
But it's where I went to school when I was growing up in Chattanooga, and
I know that.
Yeah, and so I went back to like sub a while ago, and they brought me on staff, and they have like that's like one of my families in town, right? And CFC reached out to me on Twitter, and I had already talked a little bit about being like, my school's awesome. You should totally partner with my school because they're really fun. And I think it'd be awesome because we have a bunch of kids who love soccer and that would be super awesome. and they reached out to me and said, we'd like to do a schedule release with kids drawing the logos of our rivals this season. I was like, sure. And at that point kind of just said, here, administration, this is what I have, and CFC has this thing, go. Like, you all do this. I can't do anything from here on out.
just tell me when.
Yeah, just let me know what you need from me, and I'm here to support both of you. Like, I can act as a middleman, but I'd really rather y'all just figure this out.
Smart, by the way, something I did not learn until I was older.
So I passed it off to them, and sure enough, it worked itself out. They were like, we're going to have some players come and, walk around and interview the kids, and, you guys pick grades or whatever's happening, right? You guys figure this out.
And how old are the kids that you...
Third grade. So
okay.
Now realize I'm not their teacher. It's not my class, right? It was the art classroom, so it's technically the art teacher's class, but it's also the third grade teacher's class.
Okay.
I don't have a class.
What is your thing?
I'm an interventionist, so I work with students who just need that little extra support, right?
Oh, nice.
Like if you're struggling in math, you probably come and see me.
Okay. So you might pop around to a lot of different classrooms on a regular basis. So you may not necessarily, you don't have a class, but a lot of those kids might still know you. And
they all know me.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm in and out of every single classroom in the school on a pretty regular basis.
Okay.
And I've worked in almost every grade in the school, so everyone knows who I am on a general basis.
Which made you the perfect person to plug in everybody.
By the way, does your business card just say interventionalist?
I don't have one.
Also, don't. Business cards are for olds.
I was actually talking about that with my principal the other day because I don't have anything. I have nothing. I'm just kind of there. I love my job.
Sounds like there needs to be an intervention on Ashland Terrace.
Hold on. I had to find the button for Matthew's bad joke.
By the way, fun fact, I went to St. Peter's for elementary school.
Ooh.
So
rough.
Rival?
Yeah.
Rival?
Yeah, we did not like them very much.
No, they basically don't
Because
exist
they were
in our world.
much richer than us.
Wait, is this a Catholic rivalry right now?
St. Peter's isn't Catholic. They're
Episcopalian. Yeah. So
Definitely a Catholic
it's a little
rivalry.
Catholic on Protestant action. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not gonna lie. We don't have any connection to St. Peter's anymore, and I've never heard them uttered at my school.
Well, there's a reason for that, I would imagine.
It's not there's not a rivalry. They're right down the street, and no one talks about them.
It's literally
I think it
two
might be a
schools
rivalry.
that are right next to one another,
Yeah.
and they definitely don't love each other. So much so that you would think normal smart planning is we'll just do a school zone from here and stretch through both schools. No.
It starts in one and then ends, and then starts at the other and ends.
I don't even know if we have one actually. But
Y'all have one.
We do now?
Very much, absolutely, is a school zone, and then there's not even 50 yards.
It's the space of one church in the middle, and then there's another school zone.
And people speed through there so bad.
Oh my god, it's actually terrible.
It's
That's
ridiculous.
And this is a huge tangent here, but this is what happens when you were oh yeah, let's take this road that people think they can go 70 miles an hour on because it's 100 feet wide.
What road is this?
Ashland Terrace. Between it's the road between Hickson Pike
I know what
and
Ashland
Dayton
Terrace
Boulevard.
is. I didn't realize either one of those places. Oh, I know which school I know which both those schools. I didn't know what either of those were
St.
called.
Jude, the one with the big soccer field out front.
Yes.
Can't miss it.
I didn't know that was St. Jude's.
St. Peter's.
I
If you've
know
been
that.
around for a long time,
I don't know what
you're
St. Yeah.
that thing's really far in the back there.
That-
and then
yeah.
has slowly creeped forward the last 20 years as they built stuff.
The biggest thing that always weirds me out is I don't know if they still have it up but there for a while I would drive by St. Peter's and they had a giant hut in the front of their school, and I don't know why. I just would drive by and I'd be this doesn't fit with the vibes and the aesthetic. I support it, but
What's going on?
Huts?
yeah,
In the bottom parking lot?
Do you think they made pizza there?
I don't know what it. I don't know if there's even pictures of it. I wish I could find a picture, but I'd drive by and I'd be this is why is there a?
I'm not really sure. I don't drive by it ever.
It always weirded me out. I was I don't understand what's going on here, and I don't even know what it. I don't even know if I'm using the right term for it. It just would. It was sitting.
that newer looking part of the building that extends out.
Yeah.
So that was not remotely there when I was in school there. Things
doesn't shock
have
me.
changed a lot over there.
Well, the building that you see when you drive by St. Jude up to the side, it's our gym. That's my building. Wasn't there until I was I guess in my kindergarten year. It was
Yeah,
like
they
just built.
they
It was
just
brand
built
new.
it in time for like either like 4th or 5th grade basketball for me, because
Yeah.
we'd go play over
Yeah.
a few times a year. By the way, St. Peter's soccer, since I'll bring it back now, it was my introduction in 4th and 5th grades to organized soccer.
And now viewers and listeners, which by the way, we're on YouTube, so like and subscribe. This guy refuses to play soccer with me, even though he's the only one of my. Well, did you play soccer growing up?
No.
Okay, didn't think so. Just making sure. I almost said that, and then I was like, wait a minute, what if I forgot that Ellie? He's the only one in this room that played soccer growing up, and he refuses to play with me because he's mean. But anyway, speaking of people who played soccer, are we going straight to the games this weekend, or do we have one more thing on the?
No, okay, we'll do one more thing before we talk about the games. If you have not seen it already, check your emails, season ticket holders.
Oh yeah, good shout out.
For all your information should have dropped. You do have to like go and like kind of claim those tickets and make sure like your account's ready to go and working, so that you can load those tickets into your Apple Wallet or your Google Wallet, or
and you get
those things.
You get one QR code for the whole season, so like, or whatever it is. So make sure like you set it up, because once you set it up, you're good. And it can be a screenshot. I was reading mine the other day. I have not claimed mine. I was reading through the thing, but it definitely said like you can share that screenshot if you're like if you're going out of town or whatever and sharing your ticket with somebody. But like be aware, if you share that screenshot, like they have your tickets for the whole season. Make sure you trust those people.
Yeah.
Which was fun. But it's also cool that it's one screenshot throughout the whole season. You don't have to dig for every stupid ticket, which, to be fair, like CFC hasn't done for a while. But was so annoying. The Blastoff Battle, I had to twice go into my Ticketmaster and like add all my shit to get up my ticket.
Yeah, and we're blessed on that front. That's not how it works for almost anywhere else.
Correct.
So shout out for.
Also, if you haven't got
ticketing team.
If you haven't got your season ticket yet, what are you fucking doing? Number one, it's the best deal in sports. Number two, more than anything, like right now, is that you need to get it, because next week there's a season ticket holder only game.
Yeah, on the 24th.
On the 24th, so don't miss that. And then number two, you get MLS season pass access, which means you get to watch CFC's games for included or free or however you want to call it as part of your season pass. That's going away. So that only lasts until March 1st, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
the last day of actually January. I think it's not January, February 29.
Close of business on the 29th.
So you have to get you are getting literally, no matter if you however much you want to value it at, but an MSRP value of $100, you're getting $100 value out of your season ticket that somebody's paying for, probably CFC and a combo of MLS, but whoever it is, like they're paying for it, they're adding it to the season ticket. Like get your season ticket now, because if you buy it March 7, like you're not going to get that. You just lost out on $100 value, or whatever you value watching away games at. But I value those pretty high, and I think it's an absolute no-brainer. And something Matt and I were talking about this before the podcast. Like if you're waiting and you're like, shit, like it's like $200, whatever. Like I don't know, like I payday, whatever, got a car payment. You can do it 4 payments, 3 or 4 payments, whatever it is, and it's either low interest or no interest. I don't remember. Like do your own finances, but like
I'm pretty sure it's 4 payments of whatever with like no interest bullshit. Like it's just
perfect.
4 installments, which is new this year.
Yes.
And fantastic.
So like if you're like, shit, I'm waiting, like that's $200, like that's a chunk, like just do it now and do that 4 interest thing, or 4 no interest payments or whatever it is thing. Like get that, and you still can get that, as my understanding. Your mileage may vary, check on my, but I think you buy it now, you do the 4 payments, like you're still going to get the MLS season pass and whatever else, because you bought before the date. That's my understanding.
I'm gonna ask something that I don't know if anyone else is thinking, or if anyone else has figured out. How do we know how we access our Apple TV Plus situation thing yet? Because I either missed an email.
I don't know, but I bet he does. As of today, as of recording, that has not been sent out yet.
Okay.
So they were going to take. My understanding is they were going to take all of the, once they closed the deal, we announced it, and they were going to take all the season ticket like emails or whatever it was, and send a code to all of them that you can redeem, kind of like if you had T-Mobile or what the Verizon, whichever the packages were, or actually, like the MLS, an MLS season ticket that comes with Apple TV. They would send you a code that you would redeem and be set up for that, and then that Apple it expires on whatever the day before the next round begins next year. So we're still waiting for that. But definitely be checking your inboxes, and I imagine the club will eventually publicize like, hey, like for those that have bought until this date, your info's going out, or the codes are going out now.
Okay.
And there will obviously be more rounds of codes at some point in time. But we're still waiting for that first round now.
Cool. That makes sense to me. I will also say MLS is very bad, and this U.S. Open Cup shit is very bad, and I'm very mad at MLS. And I don't really want to dive deep into it or get really angry on this podcast, but fuck MLS for the shit they're allegedly pulling with the U.S. Open Cup and potentially killing the Open Cup.
Yeah, there's not really any like verified information out there
Correct.
right now. But like it's not the future of the Open Cup is 100% in danger, and it's 100% the responsibility of MLS. And that's
based on
really,
all the reporting that's been done, and there's a bunch of it.
And that's really all we can know enough to talk about.
All right.
On that happy note,
Blastoff Battle.
let's do it.
First of all, I can't believe we're calling things by their names, and that's my own thing. Like, I can't believe I'm calling things by their names. I would be glad to.
Thank you.
Like how I handed you a water. Ellie, I would try to help you, but I'm not going to be no help.
So let me start the Blastoff battle with this. Huntsville Stadium kind of rules. Like if you're and this matters for the April 20 and the March or the August whatever it is game, which are both Saturdays. That we play away to Huntsville. Their stadium kind of rules. It's a refab of an old baseball stadium. They did a really good job with it. The sightlines are really good. It's not perfect, but it's kind of awesome. And I'm a little jealous, not gonna lie.
I'm a little surprised there was no one there.
Yeah, there was also
for such a great stadium and a team that bragged all over the internet about having 4,000 fans. It's sure weird to have less than 400 people there.
You just really love this one, don't you?
I do.
Yeah,
By the way, I should because these motherfuckers have like not the best. They have a beautiful purpose redone stadium.
Yeah.
That I am jealous of. Not that I want to change out Finley. Like I love Finley, but like there's some things that this stadium has because it's been more recently remodeled that we don't have. And the sightlines are spectacular. And like anyways, just really nicely done overall. Now I don't know how it is to have 6,000 people in there. I do wonder if the concessions and bathrooms lines would be unbearable. I wonder that.
That's a good question.
Like Finley Stadium is built for 20,000 people, and the lines get a little rough with 10,000 people. Not a little rough; they get quite rough with 10,000 people. I wonder if that place would get rough with 4,000 to 6,000 people. That being said, I didn't get to experience that because there was probably 215 people there.
If that.
Not for our game. For our game, it's about 100 people, about 215 for the Huntsville game, which again, for a team that just brags all over the internet about having all these fans, or maybe it's their fans or whoever it is, it's just makes me laugh. Sipping tea emojis, whatever else. But it is really fucking cool. I'm jealous of that. I hope someday if we ever move from Finley Stadium, we will have a similarly sized, it doesn't have to be the same kind of venue, a similarly sized venue.
Yeah.
Again, not advocating we have to move. But it was very cool. And the parking situation was good. They had free parking, which shout out to them. I don't know how it is all through the season, but that was very cool.
That will not continue during the regular season.
And it didn't motivate the Huntsvillians to come out either. But free parking was nice. I liked that. The Back 40 Brewing Company we went to beforehand, tap room was sick. Mm-hmm. It was literally a 2-minute drive or probably a 10-minute walk, so we could have walked there. Mm-hmm.
And their supporters were also
were dope.
Tailgating.
I'm making taking lots of shots at Huntsville and Huntsville's. Their supporters were cool. They actually did show up. They probably had call it 20 supporters. And look, 20 supporters in year 2 to a preseason game. Like hell yeah, good for you guys. Kicked ass. No shade at them. They had a really cool alien dude, which is one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. That's more than all the other NISA clubs have supporters combined in the entire. So like, good for fucking them. I'm not taking shots at their supporters. I'm more taking shots at their total organization outside of them. Their corporate horse shit. But the alien. So one guy carries around an alien. And I tried to talk to him for a couple during both games of our games, and during their game a little bit. And first of all, very cool. So he's walking by. I don't know how to describe this, but he's walking by with this alien that's probably like, what would you guys say? 3 foot tall, 4 foot tall, maybe 4 foot tall?
No, it's not 4 feet tall.
3 foot tall though, right? Like long legs.
The size of a 4-year-old.
That's like 2 feet tall tops.
No, that was the size of some of the kids in like the 3-year-old.
I don't think you noticed how long the legs were. The legs were pretty long. So you like hold it like kind of like this, like you'd hold a kid, but like not like in a soft way you hold a kid, just like carrying it around. But it was a shirtless alien. I don't know how he does it, if he does it the same way every time. So I'm gonna describe how it was this day. Shirtless alien with shorts on, and it's got a bandana on, and it's got like and then it walks by me and coming from the supporter section, I said something like, "Holy shit, an alien!" And he turned it towards me, or maybe it was already turned towards me, and he made it moon me. And then pulled his pants back up. But instead of it just being a blank ass, there's like a sticker that I think might be a soccer sticker right in the center, that like right over the butthole, which was just so funny. But like the fact that they have like a little soccer alien, like just made me laugh. They had a whole sets of drums rather. They had some flags. Anyway, it was good. The supporters were cool. They invited us to tailgate before the game, but we already had plans. It was just a little too late for us to. You guys joined.
Yeah,
you guys went by. Did you go by?
Yeah.
I didn't. I missed that.
I stopped by for just like maybe 10 minutes or so, just to chat and get to know them a little bit, and invited them to what will be our tailgate for the March 16 regular season opener versus Huntsville. And yeah, like it's just great to have. It's great to experience what we had not experienced outside of Detroit City supporters when they were in NISA, stuff from the NPSL days.
Yeah, we haven't experienced it in a long time, having legitimate other fans. So it was cool though. Do you guys have, now that I've trashed Huntsville, do you guys have any thing to add to their stadium talk or the whatever else? Before we talk about the actual games,
it's just really cool. And I will note and give a shout out. Like they also like let us store drums and flags in the in one of the hospitality area like closets or something like that, like locked for the weekend, so we didn't have to bring it back on Sunday. Like that was very nice of them.
Very generous. Now they did make me cut a hole in my drum.
Yeah.
Did they actually?
Yeah.
Well, okay, no. Let's be more precise. They have certain rules about being able to see inside everything that comes in. So you should be able to see into the drums. You got to be able to see like through the flag holes or whatever. So you're not like just bringing in contraband and fireworks and whatever else, like a nuclear bomb. And this guy calls that made me cut into a hole, which was a choice that he himself made.
It was bring the drum or don't bring the drum. But if I didn't, so there's a couple things.
It's not like he whipped out a knife like right in front of security and just cut a hole so the guy could see it so he could walk through. Like I was premeditated by a few hours.
I kept my knife in my pocket when I walked through security. Here's what happened. And I'm a little salty. Basically, nobody makes a marching head for a 16-inch marching bass drum, which is a very small marching bass drum. No one makes one of those as clear that I can find. I went through 344 specific products in a specialty percussion 1x1 website, and I also talked to the three music stores in town: Guitar Center, Mountain Music, and Giant Steps. If anybody else knows somebody else, let me know. One of them, I think it was Giant Steps, had a connection with has marching heads, has reps from the big companies. Put me on hold for 10 minutes. Called their reps and was like, "Can we get these?" No, you can't. They don't exist. So as far as we know, heads that are for marching drums or marching bass drums don't exist in a clear variety. So my only choice was to not bring the drum or to try. So you can't really just take off the head. I'm going to experiment with some other non-marching heads and whatever else. But the head was a little bit beat up anyway. I needed a new one, so I just went ahead and cut a hole in it. Here's where the rub is. The fucking pep band from University of Alabama at Huntsville had all the marching bass drums in the world and all the marching instruments, and none of those had holes in them. They all had non-see-through heads, and I shouldn't say I'm pretty sure. I am pretty sure. I am not 100% sure. Maybe they require them to open up, and I guess I could have taken it there, had the head off, had it disassembled and brought tools and put it back together. Maybe that was an option. I didn't know if that was, so I didn't do that. Maybe they had to do that, but I suspect they were just allowed to walk in, and because we're soccer supporters instead of a pep band, we got fucking treated like we're criminals. But anyway, fuck off.
So that raises the question for the next time we go to any place. Should we just call ourselves a pep band?
Maybe. Maybe.
Like I know that'd be really strange, but can we just be like, we're the Chattahooligan pep band?
If it gets me through with less horse shit. They also didn't let us bring big flags and on all these other things. Now look, in the end, they were nice to us on game day. They relented on a few things. They made a few exceptions, and like I think we have a good working relationship going forward.
But the amount of
corporate horse shit we had to go through was really annoying and really dumb, and that is one actual negative to being in a league that has never had fans before, that like they don't know what to do with visiting fans. They've never had them anywhere. And we're just going to have to wade through a bunch of actual knee-deep shit to teach everybody what it's like to have visiting fans. And then we're going to behave. Like, anyway, everybody had a good time. Like, nobody was there to do. So anyway, genuinely thank you for the hospitality, Huntsville, on the supporter side and on the club side. In the end, they were very nice. But it was a real pain, and my drum has a big hole in it, and I'm definitely salty about it.
Other than that, Mr. Breezy, how was the play?
Play on the field. So a lot of trialists. I'd love to get into some nerdy stuff. We're gonna end a segment at some point, and then we're gonna like go baseless speculation wise. So I want to give a caveat, and you guys can baseless speculate as much as you want, but I want to get out on some limbs here.
Okay,
some shaky limbs.
Let's do some facts.
Yes, let's do facts first. So the
Jesus Christ.
Games ended. I was just painting a picture before. Games ended 1-0 for us and 2-0 for us. They went to penalties after both games of ours. And I don't know if the other games did or not, but this was a choice, I guess, that we made. It was very confusing, but fine. We won the first game 5-4 after the penalty, so we won twice. I know MLS rules are weird, but like I didn't think we had to win twice.
We gotta like take a step back here because you
wanted facts.
Yeah, but I also wanted some context. Like,
I'll back up in a second. Second game goes to penalties again, and it's 5-5, and they just blow it at 5-5. So that's the results of the games. Before we get into like the happenings of, I want to mention that in my opinion, you shouldn't put, and I'm about to violate all of this in a few minutes, but you shouldn't put much stock into what happens in a preseason game results wise, because you could have a great preseason, win all your games, and not be great in the season. You could have a great preseason or terrible preseason, lose all your games, and be great in the regular season. It's just really hard to say that the preseason style of play and ability and results especially are indicative of how you're going to do, because there's so many variables. How many trialists are you playing on your team? How many trialists are you playing against? How many of your visas have come through? How many of their visas have come through? Et cetera, et cetera. Now let's talk about each game and what happened in them. And I'll let you start with that, Matthew.
So Friday night or Friday afternoon is CFC versus South Georgia Tormenta of League One. That game is as mentioned, ends 1-0 off of an 87th minute penalty kick for CFC. And then, it does finish 5-4 on penalties. The penalties were a shock to everybody. Did not see that coming.
So we all went down to the to go try to do like the Chattahoochee Lows and like high fives, and just nobody came over. And I don't know about you guys were thinking, but I was like, geez, are they just not going to come over here? What is going on? And then they walk out to the middle and they start setting up for penalties, and we're all like, what is going on? And they started taking penalties, and we were so confused. I kept asking, turning to you two and other people, being like, did we concede a goal I don't know about? Like, did I miss one?
I think it went for the entire tournament, actually. I know it did for the game after ours on Sunday. That this tournament includes penalty practice where everyone just takes 5, whether there's a winner on penalties or not. Like, it's purely you're taking 5 each team. The only game that did not occur in was the Friday late game between Huntsville City and UAH, because it was pouring, and they were just like, no, we're done here.
That's fair.
So first half lineup was Mike Beretta in goal. It was Jesse Williams at right back, Anatoly Prepelica at right center back.
He's getting so much better at saying that name.
It was trialist 1, who we believe is Logan Brown of University of Dayton, at left center back. Left back was Milo Garvanyan. Center defensive midfield, or in the 6 role, was Andres Jimenez Aranzazu. In front of him was Alex McGrath and Luis Garcia Sosa. Out wide left was Taylor Gray. Out wide right was Jesus Sabara. And up top was trialist 2, who I have no idea
who
who
we
is.
have not
No
figured
idea.
out.
Maybe 15 minutes into that game, Taylor was tackled pretty badly, and it had to be subbed out.
Extremely League One. I hope that guy.
And then
I hope that guy bangs his shins on something that leaves a bruise for months.
Steps on a Lego.
Absolutely steps on a. I hope he steps on a Lego and it breaks the skin.
Look, this is what I always say for when I talk about how much I hate Canada. I hope that their maple syrup goes bad.
I want to point out, you know how, did you just hear how she said that too?
I had a little Canadian accent in it too.
Goes bad.
Yes.
Oh, you betcha.
Oh my God. Yes, please. I don't know who did that, but I was very mad at the time, and I'm still mad about it. It appears that Taylor is fine. He's no longer on crutches. I think he may have been on crutches for like a couple hours while he was like tender or whatever else. Because I asked him, I was like, I saw him the next day and I said like, hey, are you okay? And he goes, I'm not on crutches anymore. No knee brace, no nothing. And I don't know what was hurt to begin with, but I assume when he said not on crutches anymore, meant that he would have been on crutches the night before, and also he could have been referring to the season-ending injury or almost season-ending injury that he had the year before. I don't know, but point being, as I saw him walking around, he was not dressed for the game in the second game, but we believe it's precautionary.
Yeah, and 40th minute, Luis Garcia Sosa gets tackled. Also not great. He was subbed out in the 40th minute. Yeah, and did not feature as well on Sunday.
Luis looked excellent in those 40
He was
minutes.
very, very good.
Also, him and Aranzuzu have the same haircut, and from a long distance, or at least from a distance, they have the same haircut. And they are tough to tell apart at distance. Yeah. And I need one of them to, and they had no numbers on, so like you couldn't tell the numbers. I need one of them to either get a different haircut or they need to wear numbers because I can't be doing this. And I know Luis was wearing gloves, but like, man, was it hard to figure out who was who and where.
Someone should dye their hair blue. Join JP.
Yes, I agree with that. JP, if you're watching this, get one of your boys to dye their hair blue. Come on.
So second half, speaking of JP is subbed in the second half at left back. Robert Screen subbed in at right back. Ethan Corrin,
shout out.
who like importantly in this context here is trialist Ethan Corrin. Was the right center back.
Listed as a straight up trialist, not listed as Ethan Corrin, right?
Correct. Yes.
But we figured that one out quick.
Which is why I point that out. Left center back, we don't know who was.
We think might be Gavin Castle.
I really don't want to stake a claim on that one.
Here's the thing. I don't know if it is or not, but if it is, that child grew a lot in the last year. That's my only comment here.
Yeah, I'm not willing to go. I'm not willing to go there yet.
It's good mustache and curly hair.
So defensive midfield was Peter Pearson. Trialist Peter Pearson.
Want to talk about how you found that out?
I was in the supporter section on the Huntsville supporters section during the Huntsville UAH game, like midway through, and this guy casually just drops it, like thinking that I knew, and I was just like, what? And suddenly the game did not matter anymore, and I was like, what?
For those who don't or who may not remember Peter Pearson, 2017, which is before Ellie's time, but he was a regular starting or definitely a regular rotation player, dependent. He was in and out of the lineup, but he played a lot of minutes next to Juan Hernandez, next to Kieran Bywater in a double pivot for the most part. We played a three-man backline that year, and he was elite at recovering the ball, meaning if the ball came down in a scrum in the middle, like wherever, just the ball's bouncing down,
he's coming
out with it.
Yeah.
And here's the reason that matters. That was unbelievably evident and on display in that second game.
Yeah.
Like Matthew kept turning to me and going, holy shit, he really is still elite at that. Even at this level, which is a whole nother level or maybe two levels above where we were in the MPSL. I will also mention I made a joke during the game to Bill Hammontree, who I made it to Matthew, but I don't know if he was paying attention. And I said, like, that guy looks like Peter Pearson's little brother. Guy running around on the field, it was Peter Pearson. I didn't realize that. I thought there was no way in hell it could possibly be him. And then in the handshake line after the game, when they came through, when I was shaking his hand, I went, holy shit. And he goes, haven't seen me in a while, have you? Or whatever. And then I think I said, holy fucking shit. And anyway, we exchanged some nice words, and I love that guy. And he's a big. I wish co-host Jay was here for this because Jay is a big Peter Pearson fan, which I think we all are. But they're a little tighter, I think, than any of us even were. But yeah, shout out Peter. I selfishly hope he makes the team just because I know the guy and I like the guy.
That's a great story as well.
And he was one of the original OGA coaches. He was also one of the ambassadors for OGA outside of
even after he was no longer here.
Yeah, outside of the Chattanooga market when they were like doing some mentoring and the think stuff. So anyway, shout out Peter Pearson. Continue.
There's a trialist also in midfield that we don't know. We don't know who is.
God, I thought we figured it out too. I don't think you guys. Ellie, you asked how our trip home was. I slept for about 40 minutes, and then the other hour or so, hour and 10 minutes probably, was spent trying to figure out who trialists were.
Fair enough. I gave up very quickly. I was just like,
I mean, my internet sleuthing skills are not as good as Matthew's, but like they're decent, and I had him joysticking me through it, and we still couldn't figure it out.
Yeah,
but we did figure out a few, as we've mentioned.
So I think in the first game he was listed as, in the Knoxville game he was listed as Darwin. His full name was put out on social media on the lineups for this weekend. That's Darwin Ortiz. He's an academy signing for this group. I don't know if he's like 17, 18, 16, whatever. He's a child. And he's very good child. Very, very good.
Trying to figure out how old he is.
He played the 10 in both second halves versus Tormenta and against UAH. Then we had a left winger trialist, a striker trialist. This is all still the Tormenta game. And then a right winger trialist who ended up winning a penalty and converting that penalty to give us the 1-0 win. That trialist is a former Campbell University and Lexington SC player, Jalen James.
Shout out.
Yeah, and he also started and played the first 45 minutes, and then maybe 15 minutes at the end of the game against UAH on Sunday, and scored the opening goal of that game.
I felt he really stood out.
I agree.
Yeah,
in a good way.
In terms of the overall number. Okay, let me do UAH first. The second goal in that game was scored by Anatoly Prepelica off a corner kick from Alex McGrath, and he was very unlucky not to have a second one in addition to that was cleared off the line. Another in-swinging ball header cleared off the line, and then he scored one not terribly long after. But I'm going to put Sunday's game kind of aside because it's a college team that had been in training for about a week at that point in time. But shout out for John Carrier's boys for saving the tournament.
Fighting John Carriers.
Shout out to that bench.
Yeah, they were loud.
They were into it.
Honestly, I kind of wanted to give them drums and flags and tell them, have you ever thought about making a supporter section? I know you're all a part of the team, but
yeah.
But ultimately, that's
hell yeah.
They were not up to the level of competition. We probably had 95% possession. It was atrocious. And they were tough to break down. They did some good things defensively. They forced us to be patient to play our game, and that's really important. But also you could tell that we were not up for that. Right? And it's just we played down to the competition a little bit, and that happens sometimes in preseason. So I kind of want to set that game aside and mostly focus on Tormenta.
Yeah. Because
Tormenta, at that night, when that game was over, we were looking back at it. And yes, we had a few trialists in the first half, and we played a lot more in the second half. Yeah. To go along with, Darwin and Robert Screen and JP. Oh, and also the goalkeepers. There was a trialist goalkeeper in there as well.
There too.
Just one. We had Beretta, we had John Burke, and we had a trialist goalkeeper. They all got 30 minutes in
each game.
Each game.
We'll also mention the second half of that first game. It was the first 30 minutes were Mike, second 30 minutes were, trialists. Which is 15 and 15 of each half of the trialists, and the last 30 plus penalties were John Burke. So in the second, you had a little extra leadership there in the second half. My second half of that game is not my only point.
Yeah.
Goalkeepers looked good. They really were not tested.
They were, yeah, and they really weren't tested in either game,
except for John Burke's sweet yellow card.
That was awesome. So, but the Tormenta game, was it was quintessential control, I thought. Like, did we break through lines and create a lot of opportunities? No.
No, we had a couple cutbacks that didn't come to
There
anything.
were a few cutbacks that didn't
And
come
a
to
lot of
anything.
control.
There was a ton of control.
And a goal.
There
Off of 2 penalties drawn.
We did force the keepers into a couple big saves. I think one in each half. But like there mostly wasn't a lot going on. But here's why. Like, this is why preseason is important. Number one, Tormenta, 3rd division pro level team, League One. Like, we're not going to see them in the regular season. Maybe we see them in the Open Cup.
R.I.P.
Probably not.
Here's to hoping.
But like,
Here's to hoping we see them in the Open Cup.
It's a good level game for us because that's a team that retooled entirely over in the offseason after missing the playoffs.
2 years
they
ago,
won League One playoffs. They won League One playoffs in 2022. So like they've got some high standards for that program for what they're trying to do there. They did not come out and pressure us at all.
Yeah.
They did not attempt to press our center backs.
And every time they did, they got played around.
Right. And this is also kind of a classic League One thing where like you want to stay super compact defensively because classic League One teams, like eventually they're just going to hit it over the top. And usually that's not like we're going to try to hit the ball to a target man and then play off of that. It's usually, okay, if you're going to, set your defensive lines to be 25 yards total or 30 yards total for all 3 lines, we're just going to try to exploit the space between the center backs or the back line and the goalkeeper. You just play over the top. We very much do not want to do that. That is something that Rod's teams historically do not do. There's a time and a place for it, but preseason is not that time. And what this allowed us to do is just to like work on controlling the game and work on our game. We're going to play this way. We're going to be patient even when they're packed in. We need to establish these kinds of principles. So, the center backs did not ever get pressured. The outside backs occasionally did, usually only when they were tucked in. But when that first ball went in to whoever's occupying the middle of the field in kind of the 6th position area, that's when the first pressure would come. And Tormenta, being a classic League One team, like they want the ball to go there. They want that pass to be available because that's the point where they swarm around together, try to turn the ball over, win it, and then get it out wide and on the break. So like that's something that their game model wants to happen. And that's also something that our game model wants to happen. We want to get the ball in that position, and we want to then keep it and play it back and play it in, and then maybe play it wide, and then maybe play it back in, because we want those teams to collapse in those moments because we think we can be good enough to play out of trouble, and then now there's space open somewhere else. So like it's a really good game, and it was a really good game for both teams to really work on that side of things. I thought, frankly, that Tormenta was... I wasn't sure that night if we were just like really good for, one game with a bunch of trialists and all the caveats included, or Tormenta was just real bad. But I think a lot of it comes down to we just, we made some good decisions with the ball. And because we made good decisions with the ball, and as a team, we were just able to control things. That being said, there was not a lot of offense creation. And that's going to be probably the last part to come. Now, like, remember, no, Jean Antoine, still not back, at least in terms of, making the field post off-season surgery.
I didn't see him in the stands.
I didn't see him at all.
Neither did I.
He may not have been training in the beginning of preseason, but like you've just lost Richard Dixon officially to the bench now as a coach.
Did see him. That was cool.
Yeah. You still don't have Fareed Sarsar, who was in attendance.
Mm-hmm.
Who we got to meet.
He's
super
awesome.
nice.
I was so stoked.
But like
He's super nice.
his visa was not in yet, so he cannot play. Still no Duvan.
So
the
that's
Colombian center back.
That's 2 of your top 3 center backs. We did have Anatoly.
We did not have the English midfielder Callum Watson, and we still don't have the French Algerian striker Mehdi Amrouari. So there's a lot. Excuse me. There's a lot that we still don't have. That we we just don't have yet.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really hard to grade preseason, especially from the outside kind of point of view. But I think it was a really good weekend. I think it was a really good start. And yes, a couple trialists definitely like impressed, played well. I thought Peter Pearson was really good. I thought the other midfielder that we can't figure out was really good. We mentioned Jalen James and 2 goals on the weekend. Like, you'll take that. Like, that's pretty fantastic.
No disrespect to anybody else who we don't know their names, but he was the one and only new attacker that stuck out of all the new forwards, trialist wingers.
Yeah.
Like, he's the one who stuck out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's going to get signed. I don't know. Rod's seen him every day in practice, right? I've seen him, 145 minutes?
135 minutes.
But I liked what I saw in those 135 minutes.
Yeah. There's just so many things you don't know. And then you go to Sunday, and it's just, if you have the ball if you have 90% possession in a game, that is not a game where you're really going to be able to learn anything meaningful.
Well,
that I can learn anything meaningful. I'm sure Rod and the coaching staff have specific things that they're looking for.
You can learn meaningful things with 90% possession, but it has to be against a team that you shouldn't have 90% possession against. Because it was a college team, we had they were just overmatched.
Yeah.
And no
I mean,
disrespect.
I think
were just
they
overmatched.
legitimately once, and it was late in the game. So a lot of trialists on our side of things. I think they legitimately once got into our defensive half with their entire outfield group. Like, very much like everybody's in the half attacking, and we're all in our half defending. I think that happened once the entire game.
Yeah, every time they had the ball for more than 2 passes, it was weird.
Yeah.
And like, it was almost immediately won back.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Ellie, what stuck out to you this weekend?
Ooh, our defense, our back line this weekend, I thought, especially with Logan Brown, Prep Lead, I thought was super strong. And I was really, really, really impressed with the way that they communicated with goalkeepers, the way that everything flowed back there. I thought, now granted, I'm still learning the soccer. So.
Well, you had to you got to watch these games, which is weird.
Was wonderful, and I was trying to learn as much as I could. But I will say
us three
that
actually watched that second game together.
it's great.
This is why you got to come to more road games this year.
I know. I'm so excited, and I think I'm gonna go to Toronto. I think I figured
Let's
it
go.
out. So we'll see.
Matthew and I have already bought our tickets. If you haven't bought your tickets, buy your tickets. Ellie, buy your tickets before
I'm
all those people buy.
driving.
Oh, you're gonna. Whoa. You're gonna drive?
I'm gonna drive.
Are you gonna fly to Detroit and then drive?
No, I'm gonna drive. I'm gonna drive up. I think after school on Thursday to Pennsylvania, and then spend the night, and then take Friday off and
pick up Thomas.
Oh, let's go.
And drive him, because it's like 5 hours or something from Penn State, and it's 10 hours from here to Penn State. So, late night, and
So
then
drive back after, because like the Sunday game is at like 3:00 or something.
Drive
so
back to Penn
drive back to
State,
Pennsylvania,
maybe.
and then Monday drive home.
Yeah,
Wild.
I love this. And if it comes with the Thomas as well, I doubly love this.
we'll see. I'm trying to convince Thomas. I'm like fighting him on it.
Thomas.
Unbelievable.
I know.
This is good. I love this. Sorry, I got really excited about the. Sorry, I interrupted you. Continue with what you saw that you liked. You were talking about the back line.
Yeah, I think our back line was I thought they played well together, and I was really impressed with the communication and watching them kind of mesh together and seeing them kind of figure each other out, if that makes sense. And I think that's improvement from last season. And I also think it was really interesting to see those trialists and see the new players coming in. Like, now granted, I've only seen a season and a half of CFC soccer. It seems like a step up in players from what we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Step up in trialists,
Yes.
very clearly.
Yeah.
And so
I agree with that.
It was cool to kind of see, I don't know, almost different level of soccer from CFC that, again, I don't watch the games. So it's not necessarily,
yeah.
but
For
it
for those that may not realize, if anybody hasn't paid attention, Ellie is one of the capos. She is the kind of the main capo for the most part up in front, so she has faced the supporter section and doesn't get to see the game very much. We're not saying that Ellie doesn't choose to. She doesn't like not come to games and then come on the podcast. If you somehow missed that part, keep going.
So it was really interesting to watch, and also to see like it was interesting to see them getting to like hear them talk to each other, and
Yeah,
like
that's weird and
right,
cool.
right? Like the communication, and like I don't. Again, you can't hear it, you can't see it. It's something that's like it looks like everyone's just kind of playing their game, and they know exactly what's going on, and they don't have to. But like getting to watch them like call each other off or tell each other to move places was really interesting, and be like, oh. Okay, so when I watch the games or see like bits and pieces of the games, usually they're not just reading each other's minds. They're having conversations as this is going and yelling at each other
Or trying to.
Yeah.
Because at home, it's louder. So something that I think this might have been a Coach Fuller thing that told me this, but could have been Bill Elliott. I don't remember. But basically, at some point I can't remember. Anyway, point being is we asked, like in the MPSL days, and they were having an invitational tryout and an open tryout, and asked what the biggest difference was between the two of them. And it's the level of conversation.
Yeah.
So it's like for the invitational tryout, you could clearly tell that there was so much more talking and communicating than the open tryout. And that's just kind of like a caliber of player thing, which is something that is interesting. And you don't see and you can't hear at Finley.
Yep.
But you saw in that game and heard in that game like a lot of talking and communicating.
Yeah.
I really your point about the level of player in general is I think a really, really good one.
Especially defensively.
Yes.
Well, so like I mean, honestly, like if you think about it, we saw the goalkeepers involved very little. The 9
goalkeeper as a spectator, so much that John Burke decided to come out and get himself a yellow card by pushing a player down.
He just really wanted to be a part of something.
I don't know if he would classify it like that, but I would.
The 9 like almost non-existent.
Yeah.
The wingers often not totally involved, and so what you get is this revolving kind of crew of the 3 in midfield, the outside backs oftentimes in the middle of the field, and the 2 center backs. And that's really where our game was positioned. But that's also...
And where we really dominated the possession game.
Yeah. But like, that's
in a
also
good way.
By design. Like it's very clearly...
Yeah.
The outside backs are... like we are very much in a W again.
Yes.
Do you want to explain a W real quick?
The W in build-up is just 2 center backs, the 6 kind of making a triangle in front of them, and then the left back and the right back.
Stepped up close to where the 6 is.
Right.
Yep.
And we talked about that a lot in preseason last year because that was a relatively new development.
And if you want to go listen to on audio, because we didn't have video at the time, if you want to listen to our Soccer Nerd podcasts, there's like 6 episodes. We talk about the 6, we talk about center backs, talk about different things. And one of the things we did talk about is how some of those interrelate and how they interact. And if you're wondering with all these numbers, like what are we talking about? I think you might enjoy those. If you're a big dumb nerd like us. If you're not, skip those for sure.
But I think there's actually a twist going on this year.
Don't you reveal anything. I'm just saying, if there's a twist that you've noticed already in the preseason, don't you reveal anything.
Well,
on the air.
I think it's interesting.
Spoilers.
I think it's interesting for fans.
And I don't want.
Less,
I just don't want any spoilers out there for coaches or other teams.
I mean, like.
I guess if you can see it, they can for sure see it.
Yeah, yeah.
I take it back. Keep going.
But like so. In the past, thinking about like kind of last year's group when we were building in preseason with JP and Jung kind of next to Richard Dixon to make that W. An interesting thing is happening this year, whereas depending on which side kind of the ball is on or starts out on. Is one of the outside backs. It's usually right side Jesse Williams. Will tuck all the way in and plant and become the 6. Outside back support pretty much goes non-existent because the winger is going to stay pretty high and wide. Yeah. You sometimes get one of the midfielders, usually McGrath, dropping in that kind of space right there. But at times it was Aaron Zuzu. At times it was Luis Garcia Sosa. And our Nzazu would oftentimes, once Jesse kind of moved in kind of beside him, would then like maybe take a little bit step forward to try to draw the defense back a little bit more. And then Milo or JP, depending on which game we're talking about, would then also kind of move inside as a support player, and then left winger still out high and wide.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because like the amount of bodies and the quickness of passing all in that middle section kept drawing the defense just in. And so there were some moments, not always often, but there were some moments when that interplay had taken place, and then like the ball kind of like leaks out a little bit to one of our players, and then that's when the pass would go out wide, and you would end up with an outside back on one of our wingers now carrying the ball, and that's the part where we struggled oftentimes last year in the first part of the season, and where this group has still got a ways to go. Now, obviously, still missing a striker. Probably need another couple attacking players. Need a couple players to get their visas and start playing. And I think we're still looking for a couple signings as well. So like there's a long way to go, but you're starting to see, like remember, I'm trying to think of a real world soccer example. Remember Spurs early this season, Emerson Royale, not Pedro Porro, planted at the 6.
You're guessing that we watched.
I've never
Fair.
watched.
But I wonder if Rod did. I wonder if Rod went back and started watching. Because that's very much what it is. Like, and the cool thing about what Jesse Williams would do is he would be like that planted 6 and let Aranzazu move forward.
Yes.
And create a different look for the defenders.
Jesse Williams played.
And then he would also get on his horse in certain opportunities and get wide of the right winger and try to combine, like create a 2-on-1 and provide a cutback in the box, which is, it takes incredible amounts of athleticism, and I'm really excited to see what comes from there.
Jesse Williams played the outside back position different than any of the other 3. So that'll be interesting to see. Kind of like Colin Stripling played it very differently last year. I'm not saying they played it the same way, but Colin Stripling played it very differently than all the other outside backs. It's going to be interesting to see kind of the evolution of what happens there. Before we get to some baseless wild speculation for fun in a moment, do you have any single player that stuck out to you guys? You can only pick one.
Jesse Williams. I would say Jesse Williams, for me...
And hopefully he's not hurt that second game.
Oh my gosh, I hope not. Stood out as more than just a defensive back line, like you're talking about, playing in that midfield. And sometimes I was questioning, like, is he supposed to be playing midfield right now instead of playing...
Yeah.
He's in the back. And it was really interesting to see him like be able to modify, because usually you don't see a player have to modify between a defensive position and a midfield position that heavily. But to see that and be like, oh, wait, now he's in the mid. Wait, what is he? And now he's back on the defense. And to see that switch so seamless was really, really, really interesting and really cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm going to take Milo. I'm going between 2, but Milo's this is the thing of Matthew, I'm sure we've talked about it on this podcast, but he and I talk about privately. Sometimes we're talking about like, how did we see the game? How do we like it? There's a certain level of confidence that players have when they've been playing with Rod in possession for a while, where there's like a disdain in body language when they're passing the ball between each other. Frankie and Colin had this together, like, and some other players have had it too, but it's like why would you even dare look at me, come close to me, pressure me? How dare? It's just I don't know how to read it, but you just like feel the disdain coming off as they pass the ball to someone else. Milo had that from the very first pass that he made. I don't know if Milo's going to start over JP or not. I don't know that who's better, who's whatever. This is not about that. I just really enjoyed the vibes of Milo. I thought they both looked good all weekend, by the way, him and JP. But I really enjoyed the vibe. I enjoyed the disdain. I enjoyed that he seemed very much not interested in running, which I may hate later, but like he would pass and jog because he was so just, I don't know, aloof in the best possible way playing, and I loved it.
I think I'm going to go in a slightly different direction, but I'm refusing to take any trialists into account for this.
Okay, well, someone should take Logan Brown because I thought he looked good too.
He did look good. That's not the point.
Okay, so we all agree that like the honorable mention is Logan Brown because he was like real solid.
I think Logan and Jalen, but like
yeah.
Yes, attacking wise, he was the only player that stood out.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah. No, I'm going to go in a slightly different direction, and I'm going to go with Darwin Ortiz, the academy signing from. I think
you didn't have to go with the try list. This is
from
good.
Rome, Georgia.
This is good.
And I say that because sometimes you get an academy player, academy signing, and you see them like in a real life game, and occasionally they have a kind of a big flash. Like, okay, like I see that, like that's really cool, and then they kind of disappear for long periods of the game, and whatever. Not Darwin. Like that kid, like is actually like could be good. And I think to your point about the level and the standard like being so much higher. Like do I think this kid's gonna like start 10 games for us this year? Like no, I don't. But like this kid might have a future in this game. And he's still young. And look, doesn't matter how old you are. Like if you're good enough, you're old enough, right?
Yeah.
But like I really like what I saw there. It's my first time seeing him play. At least that I can remember.
So I don't know how old he is. I tried to find a minute ago. He graduated in 2023. Does that mean he's 17, 18, or 19? I don't know. He could be any of those ages. To me, looking at his size and like his face, seemed to be more like closer to 17. That's a total guess, though. But the reason I say that, if he's 17, it's incredibly impressive because he absolutely held his own within, and my expectation is that he's 17, by the way, or maybe just turned 18. He very much held his own among the college players and among the pros. He had a couple, rough moments, which anybody can have, but he also had a bunch of really good moments too. And at that age, that's incredibly impressive. If he's 19, it's still good. It's just a little less impressive. I'm not taking shots at him. I'm just saying that's why I want to know how old he is. But I am excited, like you are, about his future and potential within CFC and within the CFC system, because we need more young guys on academy contracts doing homegrown shit with us. It's really good.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do some wild baseless speculation here for a minute. The offense is a long way to go.
Yes.
Already.
Yep.
I already said we're not supposed to have. This is dumb things to do, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Offense is a long way to go, but we are missing, as Matthew said earlier, the starting goalkeeper. Ostensibly, we believe Jean-Antoine Jean is going to be the starting goalkeeper. We're missing one of our two starting center backs, maybe even our main backup center back. So like we only had one of our three top three center backs. They haven't been in camp that long. We don't have our starting six. I believe we'll have a different six. Whether we sign somebody or maybe we sign a backup in Aranzuzu who becomes the starting six. But Richard Dixon was slotted to be that starting six, so I don't believe that we're going to leave the roster how it is. So there's a starter in midfield. We have Callum Watson, who should be probably a starter or a starting level player. We brought him in as an international. We paid a transfer fee for him, first one in history or whatever else. So that says something that we expect him probably to start, right? So that's two starters in midfield likely. A starter on the back line, starter at goalkeeper. I believe one of the two wing spots we will sign another starter for, and we definitely don't have our starting 9 who we've already signed. So that's 6 starters we're missing over this.
5 or 6, yeah.
I'm going to say 6 because we're doing wild baseless speculation here. 6 starters missing. Yes, we did not look excellent offensively, but our control was excellent with trialists and non-starters.
Yeah.
The base is good. The start of the Rod Cess is very good. As long as we can get, and here's the other thing about starters. Some of those guys are game changers. Anatoly was absolutely a fucking game changer on the field over the weekend. He was a game changer last year, obviously too, but he was dominant all weekend long. I believe that Duvon is that level of player. We're going to find out. I've got 5 minutes of tape, so wild speculation here.
Yeah.
Give me a Duvon and an Anatoly together. And Jean-Antoine, now look, the goalkeepers had nothing to do, but Jean-Antoine is an experienced, very good goalkeeper organizationally and everything else. So should not be any sort of a step down from where we were over the weekend. If you add a 6, and look, Richard Dixon is going to be very hard to replace on and off the field.
Yeah.
Hopefully his off the field things are not going to have, and in the locker room things are not going to have to be replaced because he's still here as a coach. But if they get a guy of Richard Dixon's caliber or better, potentially, that's a big if, but a starting level Richard Dixon type of player on the field to add to a rotation of guys, plus another guy that's supposed to be raising the level of our midfield. So 2 more midfield starters, and our midfield was dominant all week. Now, I realize the Huntsville game is what it is, the University of Alabama, Huntsville. But we kicked the shit out of. We dog walked, to use your phrase. We dog walked a League One team that's full of pros that played their pros to like the 60th or 65th minute. Like the way too excited, way too early take here is our offense is a long way to go because we don't know if our 9, we don't know is gonna how quick he's gonna mesh, and how, is Taylor back from injury? Like, is he out for a little while? Look, Jesus got some good minutes and had some flashes. But
I'll note that Damian Rodriguez did not feature.
Damian Rodriguez didn't feature at all.
We don't know why.
And I believe there will be multiple signings in that front line, whether they're strikers or I'm guessing wingers to come in.
Both.
Or both, right.
I think the key to remember, and I'm thinking about this in case anyone just like heard this and said, you're thinking like 2 starters, like a Richard replacement, and then like let's just say Callum. Like, and you're thinking, where the hell are all these guys going to play? Like, Rod doesn't typically make a lot of subs, like do a lot of rotation.
This is a fun speculation point. Keep going.
I think I think the idea is that like you raise the level across the board for the iron sharpens iron scenario, so that player, like, all of a sudden, like, your floor becomes incredibly high. And it allows players to take the team to yet another level.
Someone making noise out there.
And like, you can also do some rotation and manage some minutes when you need to. Whereas you might have felt in the past that the drop off from your starting level to your, maybe you feel good about 1 backup in midfield, but maybe not about 2, right? You actually now feel good about maybe 2 backups. Potentially even all 3, and that's something to watch for. And we'll get an idea for this once we get into maybe by the end of March, where we'll have a regular season game to open on the 16th. We'll have the second game on the 23rd, and then we'll have the New York City away game on the 27th. So already some quick rest, and that's not even accounting for the possibility of the Open Cup first round between Huntsville and Cincinnati at home.
And
so we might learn this very, very fast, what Rod thinks about rotation.
It's wild. And look, Rod at the beginning of last season did a lot more rotation than he did at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. Rod at the beginning half of last season did a lot more rotation than he did the year before. I think Rod would argue, he's not here to argue, but I'll argue on his behalf, that when he had good rotation that he could do, he did it. And when he didn't, he didn't. Meaning, towards the end of the season, he felt like people were a step above their counterpart, and therefore he was going to use that step to his advantage, right, and play that player more. But if there's open competition for those spots, because guys are all of a higher level, I think he's going to do a lot more subbing out. I mean, look, Beto got hurt at the end of the year. Him and Luis played a lot of minutes in and out for each other, right? Taylor was out, but I think you would have seen Taylor and Jesus, and you saw that once Taylor came back, alternating a lot more and in and out with Mumu at the end of the season, as an example.
Yeah.
You never saw Lenny really challenge Marcus because, to be frank, Lenny was not on Marcus's level. It's going to depend on who comes in. But there's a lot of potential for rotation if the players are at a higher level. I will also mention that Luis, in his 40 minutes, might have been the best player on the field in his 40 minutes that he played. And if Luis is going to play like that, Rod's going to have some real tough decisions to make. That's a great fucking problem to have.
That's a fantastic problem to have.
It's also a 40-minute problem, terribly small sample size, completely unfair, but we're in wild baseless speculation time, so I'm here for that. Do we have anything left that we need to go over?
Yeah, I don't think so. To set the stage, we're at 18 pros signed. We're at 2 academy players signed.
How do you think it fills out, Matthew?
I think there's 6 more spots on the table.
How do you think it shakes out? How do you think they shake out? Not 6 spots of guys that we've already signed. 6 more spots of guys to be signed. Correct?
Yeah. This is assuming that all the visas come in as expected and hopefully soon. I think you got to replace Rich. I think you need to. I think they look at Aranzazu and look he started the second game against UAH at one of the 10 spots.
Yes,
and Trialis was at the
first
6.
game he started as at 6. Second game he started as one of the 10s.
So if you're looking at if he's kind of your combo player, and I'm assuming like we'll say higher level combo player that can start, I think you're looking at probably a backup 6. that you don't expect to play a ton of minutes across the season. That's one. I think you're looking for a Richard replacement.
Who's a starter?
Who's probably supposed to be the nailed down starter at the 6. That's 2. I think you're looking to sign one more center back, which would make 4 on the roster. We've got 2 players at left back. We got 2 players at right back. So I think you're looking for one more
to give us 4 center backs total.
Yeah, so that'd be 3 players right there. If you sign 2 6s, you've already got McGrath, Garcia Sosa, Watson, and Aranzazu. So that would give you 6 players in midfield for ostensibly 3 spots.
Yep.
So I think you kind of stay pat there with 2 6s, and then you're gonna need a backup striker, a backup number 9, straight up. You need one, assuming that Amrari is going to be the starter.
Is that how you say his name?
I think so.
I have no clue.
My French is terrible.
Mine is non-existent.
You've got.
I might have it. Give me a second.
Okay.
I took French in high school.
Oh, hell yeah.
You've got currently signed Taylor Gray, Jesus Ibarra, and Damian Rodriguez at the wing spots. So you definitely have one winger spot that's 100% available. And honestly, we don't know what the situation with Damian is, why he was out, if he's going to be out for any extended period of time. If you're wondering about Damian Ortiz and Gavin Castle,
Darwin Ortiz and Gavin Castle, I don't include academy players in when I'm kind of doing this build. Academy players are gravy. Yes, and they're important for practice, but you're not counting them for real minutes.
And they could get real minutes,
and if they do,
if they step up, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But they're gravy.
So we're at 5.
So a one winger spot is number 5.
Who's number 6?
So if it's me, I think I use the winger as a straight up winger, like winger. And I look for that last position as kind of a combo attacker, can play the 9, can play the wing. If you want to get real wild, possibly can play one of the 10s, maybe not the way that we traditionally play, but maybe more as like a second striker type player. Something that gives you a lot of options and flexibility. And yeah, so that's my 6th. That would give us 24 pros, including 3 goalkeepers, and 2 academy players for 26. Now, that being said, this is a lot harder to do in real life than just speculating here, because there's things like, where's the budget? I don't know.
Where are the housing spots?
I don't know. There are other things that go into this.
What players are available that you like that fit the system?
I don't know.
Yeah. So I'll ask you one more question, Matthew. When do you think folks will see these things get done and get announced?
Hell if I fucking know. So did they learn what they wanted to learn this weekend from a few trialists? And are contract offers going out?
And are we going to see 2 or 3 or 4 or
week?
5? Or are we going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trialists signed out of this weekend?
I would not be surprised, especially if guys have been in for a couple weeks now. I wouldn't be surprised to see. I'm going to say 2, maybe 3 out of it. But I wouldn't be shocked to see like a couple of an announcement towards the end of this week, maybe announcement early next week, whatever. For like, if I'm thinking about like the Richard kind of replacement position, who knows? Like when was the first possibility of Rich not being able to play? We don't know. We don't know.
Did they know 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, 5 weeks ago?
Like we don't know.
Yeah.
So like
Wednesday.
So like how long have they been working on finding a replacement? Like who's available? What kind of money is available? Like we don't know any of these questions. And when you start including visas and things like that into it, we've got, if I've done the math right, I think we have a foreign spot left. If we're getting an international player of any kind, that especially that needs their ITC and a P1 visa,
your international transfer clearance,
we might be waiting, from, even if we sign them, on the day of this podcast being released, we might be waiting a month before we see them in a CFC uniform. Which is also why preseason is so important, to give opportunities to already signed and maybe projected fringe players, because they have an important role to play, whether it's in the first few weeks before some of these foreign players have their clearances and are up to speed, or if there are injuries. We saw that with Jung Woo-seo, or whatever else. Like, yeah.
Did you figure out the pronunciation?
Mehdi Womri.
Omri.
Womri.
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 Womli.
What she said.
Womri. Mehdi.
Yeah, that part's...
Womri.
I hope he...
Womri.
Selfishly, I hope he has a good nickname that's easy to say and for my tongue-tied English tongue or American tongue.
Mehdi Womri.
Homri.
Womri.
Omri.
That's if you add all the French randomness in there.
I'm gonna struggle. I'm gonna struggle with that. I hope.
I got you.
He is. I hope he and everyone else are generous in their.
Yeah.
in
Well,
their-
I hope Ellie's French lesson right there was a nice little end to this this little podcast.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for listening. Ellie, thank you for joining us. Matthew, thank you for joining us. Mixie, who is passed out right in front of the camera, thank you for joining us. Listeners, viewers, thank you for watching, listening, subscribing. Please check out the YouTube if you haven't. Leave us a comment. Thumbs ups are nice for the algorithm and make us feel good about ourselves. So please do that. Thanks, and we'll catch up with you later. Peace.